Right. It's just let me know when
we're starting right now, Bruce. Okay, we're starting right now.
Right.
Okay,
right now.
we're starting now.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Live.
Is it right now?
Yeah,
live.
right now.
Hey,
right, totally right now.
We're live from the edge. Oh my gosh, I'm on edge right now. Look, people, this is why we do this, is because it's live. You know, it's just it's Friday night. We've had a 5-day work week. We're trying to let the steam out. We're just trying to chill and relax and get it all out. Ah, yes. And you know, we saw Star Trek Discovery last night. We're going to talk about that. I'm Bruce Gibson, and we have Brandi Dracula on the show tonight.
Yeah. I do have that kind of.
Jackola, of course, is the real name. But yes, I see
got
your
a really
fangs.
sharp
Canines, yes. How are you doing?
I'm great now. It's my happy place.
Yes. Have we started yet?
Yeah, totally started.
Okay. Well, you know, every time we do this, when it's an episode Discovery that we're reviewing, we usually have a guest on the show. So, well, this time we're keeping up with tradition. Yes. Shashank Avvaru is with us. How you doing?
I'm great. Team COTB is back. For everybody asking, Team COTB is Chair Out Ranks the Badge team. That's us. Team
That's
COTB,
what
we are back.
That's right. Woo, woo, woo. Yes.
Oh, Chris noticed. I just was going through the comments. Thank you, Chris. Yes, I got a haircut. I missed seeing my ears, so I had to get a haircut.
Yeah, I was like, what happened to the bushy hair?
It's summer, man. You know how that gets.
It's not summer yet.
I'm in Arkansas. It's hot already. We're hitting 75. Yeah. I'm ready to get my haircut.
It snowed today, like 11 inches in some areas.
Wow, really?
So jealous.
Yeah, wow. It was not a fun commute to work.
That's why you didn't get a haircut, Brandi.
No, actually, I did get a haircut last night.
Oh, well, not as short. So
no, not as
I
short.
need a haircut too. Perpetual Infinity. I can't even talk. I want to say infinite perpetual infinity.
I'm going to use perpetual infant from now on, though, because that would be great to describe someone who will not grow up.
Perpetual infinity.
Infinity is a word that I'm not used to saying as much now because I work in the TV industry and I'm used to saying Xfinity a lot now because of Comcast. Oh. So, you know, infinity is beyond. So
Star Trek Beyond. Like
beyond.
That poster right behind you.
So our perpetual infant, since this is the second season, it's still a baby, right? But anyway, it's episode 11, Perpetual Infinity of season 2. And so Shashank, what initial thoughts of that episode?
Oh, wow. So many thoughts. Just right off the bat, there is not a dull moment in that episode. It's incredibly entertaining. It harkens back to episodes like The Visitor for me, because it's a parent and a child stranded in time. That was an interesting take on the tale. I loved everything about it. I think it was a great episode. I'll let you guys weigh in, but just Discovery season 2 for me, just every time I think they've hit a ceiling, they keep going up. So I enjoyed the episode quite a bit.
Excellent. What about you guys? Yeah. Well, I know it looks like our chat is very active right now talking about perpetual infants. So I really started that whole thing. So thank you to the chat for joining us. Brandi, what were your thoughts on this episode?
Well, I think I should have started this like earlier in the season, but I'm instituting a new segment called Cry Watch. Did this episode make Brandi cry? So far, up until this point, it was 10 for 10 out of episodes of season 2 that have made Brandi cry. So I'm going to actually hold off and not tell you yet whether it made me cry. So we'll return to Cry Watch later. But
the Edge should start making Cry Watch bingo. Scene at which Brandi might have shed a tear. That should be incentive. Yeah, just make the entire bingo card. That'll be fun.
I saw Brandi do the Star Trek Enterprise theme challenge today on Twitter, and that made me cry.
It made you cry tears of pain.
No, it actually was good. I just don't want to admit it.
Oh, that's fine. I'm fine with it causing you tears of pain. So, but yeah, I, oh, there's so many thoughts, and I'm sure that we will talk about certain points that uh, I want to touch on, but just, okay, I don't know how to pronounce her name properly. Sonia, Son, or Son. I don't know how to do that. I don't know her name, proper pronunciation of her name. But where did she come from? She is like a clone. She matched Michael's expressions, intonation, rhythm of speaking. It was uncanny.
You're talking about the young girl that plays Michael Byrne.
No, I'm talking
No?
about her mother.
Or the mother. Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure who you were talking.
Oh my word. Oh my word. Oh my word.
Well, because I also thought the girl who does very good.
Yeah, well, and she has. But we've seen her before. This is the first time we've seen Mama. And I loved it. I loved seeing her. I loved her interactions. I hope we do see her again.
So strong, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I thought she was, I mean, just having her and Sonequa doing scenes together that were emotional, it was just intense. I mean, I just really felt the intensity between the two, and it was like, oh, this is a good match with these two. I love that, this other woman, Sonia or whatever, is playing the mother. I mean, it was a perfect casting for this.
Absolutely. Apparently, according to Neostar 9, she was in The Wire, which is not a show that I have watched. So my husband has watched it, so he may have realized that she looked slightly familiar, but probably couldn't place where.
Yeah.
Well, Sonia Son, from what I can read, Beta Artemis. Thank you. It's pretty exciting, and I would love to get your thoughts on this, both of you, but Bruce especially. The first scene I thought was a scene to scene shot remake of the Jin Erso escape scene in Rogue One. Did you feel that at all? The way their room was?
No, I didn't. But as soon as you just said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it does seem so much like that.
Even before Michael is being closed up in that closet, she's given a toy, much like Rogue One's Jyn Erso. That was the first place my head went to. But
yeah, because Jyn Erso, her parents are like, run, go away. We're going to deal with this, and very similar. But I'm glad you mentioned that scene too when you said giving her the toy, because it was a bunny, and I thought, is this supposed to symbolize Alice Wonderland, the rabbit down the hole?
Yeah,
following the rabbit into the hole. So the rabbit, she's following, whatever, the rabbit.
Well, and we've actually seen the rabbit before in the limited flashbacks of that scene that we've had in previous episodes. And we've seen Michael hiding and clutching that rabbit before, but they really made a point of focusing on it this time. So I definitely think they're saying, hey, rabbit.
Rabbit. And the funny thing is, weren't they like in a kitchen? They were cooking rabbit for dinner that night too, I think, right?
Oh no.
I don't know. Maybe that's what they eat there. I don't know.
You're breaking a vegan's heart, man.
Dude, not okay.
Dude, okay, I'm sorry. It's been a long week. Anyway, what else is going on here in the chat? What are they saying? There was a question I saw earlier. Someone said, and they were being serious. I'm not used to being serious. Something about Leland. How did Leland get tied up in the beginning? Who tied him up?
Robots. I don't know.
It also took control of his mind, right? So you could. Okay, I'll not tell you how I know this, but you actually can tie yourself up.
Really?
This is an actual thing you can do.
How do you know this?
I am not going to reveal that part, but you can tie yourself up. So I'm gonna think in my head that's how that happened. But I just want to go back to that scene when she comes out of the flashback. Sonequa Martin-Green acting when she when she's talking to Culber and just everybody else there, and she's like, "That's my mom. That's real." That every scene that focuses just on Michael is just, I think, a great exercise in acting. Just watching how someone can sell dialogue and sell atmosphere and sell the story. I don't think anybody does it better on that show. No offense to anyone else than Soniko Martin Green.
She's amazing. She has been from the start, but she's really getting to show this season more of what she's capable of. Because, and I've said this in many of these podcasts, her facial expressions communicate more than words ever could. And she just makes it so real.
Yeah.
So real. And that's the thing. If you can make me forget that you are an actor playing a role and get me so invested in a character like that, then you are doing your job so well. And that is what she's doing.
Yeah.
Her job so well.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that in the recent episodes. I mean, every episode for the last at least 3 for me, watching her going through these just emotional scenes of intensity and tears and things. It's like, it's almost to a point now I'm expecting that in every episode. But I mean, it's just incredible how she can do that. I mean, it's just, she's so in the moment and there's so much feeling. But I think even as an actress, as a person, I think she wears her emotions on her sleeve. She's very much, from what I understand, she, kind of commands the room in a sense. When she's happy, the whole room feels it. Like she has a certain energy to her.
Yeah. From
and
what
it's
I've
great
heard.
that it's
ahead.
great that in this scene she's emotional for 2 people, because then Spock comes in and is just dead. Just, oh, I've seen you have awoken, and yourself, and you're yourself. That guy. There is no love lost between these two.
Oh, no. I think that she's still in that place where she's not entirely sure how he's going to react to her. She's not sure if he's going to, toss out a barb or if he's going to be sympathetic or what. And even after their talk in the previous episode, when she was really angry after finding out that Leland was responsible for her parents' death, or her parent, not parents, apparently, a parent. So I'm gonna stop saying a parent. It's gonna start to sound weird. Yeah, they came to some kind of small understanding, but now she's knocked off of her rocker again. She's not in a comfortable place. She's feeling all these things and doesn't know where to put it, doesn't know where to start processing any of it. And she's, I think she was defensive that, okay, well, now Spock's going to tell me I'm being too emotional, or he's going to chide me about this or that. And he doesn't really.
No.
He doesn't really.
He's just more supportive as we're going along.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, okay, you're awake, and he says, oh, and I see you are yourself. And I think, yes, that could be taken as a barb, but I took it as more of, I am relieved that you are not suffering any permanent mental damage.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And the fact that he doesn't have much emotion because he suppresses it as much as he can, he's still a brother. And, siblings still kind of pick on each other. It's also a sign of love. And I think they respect each other more than they did at the beginning of the season. And I take the way he gives her little jibes now as just being the brother that's showing his love for her in a brotherly kind of way. Because even at the end of this episode, I mean, he's there for her and supports her.
Yeah. The so many metaphors to when he says at the end, the board is yours, Michael. And just watching him get back to the chessboard. Anyway, I wanted to ask you guys this, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone in the chat or anybody listening in the future from now on, but I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. I'm also a huge fan of the Terminator franchise. Does anybody else see parallels between Control and Skynet from Terminator?
Oh, for sure.
Gaining sentience, then going into the future, taking over all life.
Yeah, well, it's not sentient yet.
Yeah, or that's the plan.
Yeah, but that is the plan. And of course, I thought Skynet, but this is in a much farther flung future than the beginnings that happened in our lifetime. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit more removed, I think, for me. So though I made the connection, I didn't go, oh, they're totally ripping off Skynet, because it's kind of a different situation. But
Yeah.
you know,
I also can't quite put my finger on it, but for whatever reason, I keep going back to Calypso, the first Star Trek short. I feel like all of this will be connected to that in some way because that took place 1,000 years into the future.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking of that episode, that short treks too, lately for every episode, thinking, is there some kind of connection? And my first initial thought, which I know isn't right, but I thought, okay, that's why we find Discovery stranded, because the universe has been destroyed and no one's around. And I thought, well, wait, that's not true necessarily, because there are still people around. And this would have taken place, if it's truly 1,000 years, this would have taken place roughly 50 years after Michael's mother has been propelled into the future or whatever. So it can't be the same timeline that we just saw.
that's true. You know, and the thing is that I don't necessarily think that all of the short treks are going to be connected to the main show, because you know, I don't think we're going to see Harry Mudd suddenly turn up this season.
Right.
So, and I don't, you know, the only one that's really tied in directly to events that have been happening is The Brightest Star. So, you know, one thing doesn't make a pattern. Two things is a coincidence. Three, that's a pattern. So,
okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily have to be so just because one of them tied in.
Right.
I'm so sorry, you guys, for everybody on the chat and listening live. That's my dog, Zord. Is
Poor Zod.
perpetually hungry for attention.
We'll feed him attention.
That's what I'm doing, man. I'm trying to multitask. So, is it? What did you guys think of the section 31 side of the story, which was the B story, right? So there's the A story of Michael and her mother, and then there's the B story of section 31 stuff. I thought it was pretty on par for the course for me. I didn't see anything really new except that fight scene at the end with Michelle Yeoh. That was pretty awesome. But
anytime they give Michelle a chance to fight, it makes me so happy.
Same here, but I also get disappointed because the camera just moves so quick and close and shaking around. It's like, I wish it would just stay on her for a while, because she's so good at fighting that I really want to watch her, you know, her form, her doing it. But it just seems like they cut away and they go to a different angle and they get in close, and it's almost like, okay, is she not really fighting as well as she used to? I mean, come on, just like let's watch that. Let's not move the camera around so much. It's too choppy.
I get that, but that is typical of fight scenes in general in movies and television these days. That's actually nothing new.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be, but you know, Michelle Yeoh is obviously very skilled and obviously very well toned and in good physical condition. But at some point, you know, you're not going to be able to do the same fight moves as you did 30 years ago. And I think we forget that she is a woman that is, I believe, in her 50s. Mm-hmm. So what she's doing right now is pretty impressive, considering, actually not even taking that into consideration. She's still kicking butt, taking names.
Yeah, and the people that she's fighting aren't nearly as skilled as she is. So it would be, I guess, kind of weird to keep the camera on her, and then when you switch to the other person, move it around a lot to overcompensate.
Yeah. And okay, here's something that I'm going to say that I know that some people are probably going to disagree with, but the second time especially that I watched this episode, I was really impressed. And I know this is going to cause some waves. I was actually really impressed with the way Leland was portrayed, because his eyes were so dead. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he did that. He was, it was so subtle. But I was sitting there watching him, and I'm just like, what? How are you doing that with your eyes?
How does he do dead eyes?
I don't know. And I don't know if it's some kind of contact lens that may have obscured and made his eyes look slightly different, just slightly off. I don't know what it was, but I just feel like, he's underappreciated in this episode, because I think he was amazing at being Leland controlled by a computer. And
I think it's a side effect of all that Vulcan acting that people are doing all around him. And Michael does this every now and then too, especially if she's crying or having an intense emotional reaction, and somebody walks in and she doesn't want people to see it. It's like it'll just go away like that. And
yeah, how many times do you see her just kind of intense, and then somebody's walking in, and she's got to turn something off and wipes her face real quick and
yeah.
Yeah.
Like even in this episode, she's watching that time storm. Her mom saying, "I'll come and find you," and she's in bed and beep, and then she sits up and she's like, "Come in," and Spock comes in.
And you know what? There was an earlier scene.
She didn't sit up immediately. She was still laying on the bed after Spock came in, and he did not knock or signal. He just walked his butt right in there.
Well, he did that earlier too. He came in. Yeah. I don't remember if he signaled or not, but she was, watching something and had turned it off, and he keeps showing up at the worst times.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I can't get anything done. I keep trying to watch my shows, and Spock keeps showing up. Why can't I watch my favorite YouTuber without Spock coming in and interrupting me? I have to take my headphones and my earbuds out, whatever." So yeah, but the thing I like about Leland in this too is because last week and the other weeks we were talking about how he's kind of dumb. He's not all that bright. But I don't know if they did that some ways with his character, because when we got to this point, it gave the actor a chance to play Leland differently. And he has this confidence and this resolve of like, this is what we're going to do. And even, Georgia's like, you seem a little different and sure of yourself. And I'm like, maybe that's kind of the reason why they did with his character. Maybe not, but because of that, he was able to portray Leland in a different faction, in a different way that would stand out to Tyler and to Giorgio.
It reminded me of the William and Tom Riker switch in DS9. It's like that's you throughout as you're watching, for especially the first time, and you don't know the twist. You're like, there's some reason why that is not Riker. There is so much. He looks like Riker. He says things like Riker, but I don't know what is Riker doing. And then you find, it's Thomas Riker, not William Riker.
Well, maybe this isn't Leland. Maybe it is Thomas Riker pretending to be Leland.
I think Thomas Riker has not been born yet, but anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. He came back in the suit.
Actually, the DS9 episode you're talking about, I knew within the first 10 minutes that it was absolutely Tom Riker.
You're a better reader than I am. I was like, what? That's Tom Riker?
I've watched, that's why it's so hard to fool me. I have watched so many detective shows and procedurals and stuff like that I just know how to figure stuff out in television, which is why it was so surprising to me that I did not see the whole mom thing coming last week. The thing about Leland, and when we were watching it the first time, Dave and I, and Leland comes out as, with controlling, and he starts saying all this stuff, and Dave's like, they're going to know something's up. He's being competent.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So that gave the chance for this character to transform himself and be a little different, because also, the way he was portrayed before.
I hope one of you at least will agree with me on this. This was the first time I actually thought Leland was somehow equal to what Giorgio was doing. Like they actually felt like rivals, and it was like he went from Robin fighting Joker to Batman fighting Joker. It was like I could see a bit of a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because the very first time that we see Leland, when, after Giorgio interferes on Kronos and leaves with Ash, etc., and she's talking to Leland afterwards, and he's, saying stuff to her, and she says, no, he's in. And it made it seem like he was the subordinate and she was the one in charge, because that's just how she is. And so when it turns out that he's actually above her, I was just like, oh, wow, really? So that was how I felt early on in the season.
Yeah, and she's probably now like, why do I feel like he's in control or he's leading? Because I'm always the one leading. I'm always the more powerful. You know?
Okay, speaking of leaving, you guys, what do you think Giorgio told Tyler that made him go away in a pod all by himself? Because Kat said, so you know how she switches her.
Yeah, she contacts him on a secure
Yeah,
channel.
and says, this is the beginning. This is a real test for our relationship.
Right.
And then she says, I'm about to tell you something. And next time we hear anything about Riker is that explosion happens and then a pod.
Wait, did you say Riker?
Oh, I'm sorry. Tyler.
It's the hair and the beard, right?
Yes, that's what it is. Tyler, my bad.
Good
Ash.
Hair. Yeah.
Next time we hear anything about Ash is when Discovery learns that a pod has left and all that's on there is Tyler. So, is that because he talked to her, or is that after he has his?
Well,
he had his fight with Leland between those things, right? So,
well, what I think happened was that, they basically didn't reiterate the conversation that those two were having, because I'm pretty sure that it was, hey, I think that Leland has been corrupted by control.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we already know that, so they didn't need to do that in another conversation, which makes me slightly annoyed that they had to flash back to Leland saying the whole, I can't even remember the phrase.
Something
threat
logic.
To the greater mission.
Yeah, bigger mission, right? Larger mission.
A threat to the larger mission. Thank you. And I don't think we needed that, because that happened like less than 5 minutes before. It's like watching Dragon Ball Z. They're flashing back to something that happened at the beginning of the episode. It's like, I was there, guys. I was there. I saw that 5 minutes ago. Please stop. So that just kind of bugged me, because I thought it was not necessary. We got it. We all got it.
Well, you got it because you watch a lot of TV crime shows.
You guys, if Michael's mother did not put those signals there, who did?
I think
did you believe her when she said she didn't know what those were?
Yeah, she didn't know what they were. And I'm going with what Spock said, that it was a variable that they had not yet, was not yet known to them. I'm going with that.
Okay. I don't know if I believe Michael's mother or not, because she's seen so much and she keeps saying she's traveling back and forth and witnessing things, and she's seen the future kind of play out different ways. And she was just so quick to go, I don't know what signals you're talking about. Like,
no, I don't think so. I think she honestly didn't know.
I think she's a liar and a cheat.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There would be no reason to lie about it whatsoever. So I
don't know, because I don't know about these signals to even know why anybody would have to protect somebody from not knowing what those are.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because they seem to coincide with her appearance, but not always, which lends more credence to the fact that they are not necessarily being created by her, that they are something that's happening at the same time, but not always. That's the big thing, is that they don't always precede the Red Angel showing up.
Right.
Yeah. So I believed her when she said she didn't know anything about the signals, and so I'm going with Spock's assessment that it is a variable that they have not yet, that is not yet known to them.
It's also exciting, or rather interesting, that they'll find the fourth signal on Boreth. If you remember that preview.
So something's going on at Boreth. Yeah. Somebody's got to be protected there. What's going on there?
We saw the baby too. We saw the baby. Saw the baby mommy and the baby daddy.
Yes.
So all going to unfold.
Yes, that's the Perpetual Infant.
It's just,
that's the next episode.
You're going to go there, Brandi, but you realize how dumb that was.
No, actually, I was gonna make a Voyager reference, but I'm not going to now.
Why? Say it.
They were looking for the Kvog Bog.
I knew you were going there too. We
Yeah.
just talked about that on a literary treks. Oh, there! Everyone take a drink. I said literary treks. That's coming up next episode. You'll hear why. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that and I'm reading Full Circle, so there's a lot of that going on in
That's
there.
in that, yeah, which is the follow-up book to what we just did on literary treks. Oh, another drink, everyone.
Sorry, I derailed everything.
So, there was 7 lights. 3 they've already seen.
There are 4 lights
left. We are such I
could not do it. It's the first time I've gotten to do it.
There are 4 lights.
Sorry.
Left.
Sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. Let's be honest. I'm not sorry. I'm so happy I got in there first.
Okay. I'm right here. I love you. Yeah.
He's saying he loves you to his dog, for those who aren't watching. Not true.
Yes, my dog just walked up right to my face.
He loves you so much. Look at that boy.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Great. That's great.
Okay. So, well, Shashank's got some other things going on right now.
No,
we'll move on with the show. What? You got something, I can tell.
For almost a cutaway scene, I thought it was pretty exciting. We got to see for a second a different kind of Klingon. Did you guys notice that? When I think it's in one of the videos where Michael's mother is trying to fight someone, and then a door opens and 2 Klingons walk in.
Yeah.
They look really different. I guess that was like another timeline Klingons. That was more of just a throwaway
thing. I don't know. I didn't even notice. I mean, I that didn't strike me as being different. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Didn't strike me as being different either.
Okay, maybe that's just me, or maybe I saw them in that attire I haven't seen before, or whatever it was. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Maybe you couldn't see it because your dog was licking you and knocked your glasses off at that time.
That is a distinct possibility.
I'm sure that could be. Yeah, Zod just there goes the glasses. Hey, so I thought it was pretty cool. There was mention that there's 7,000 active ships in Starfleet. Have we ever gotten a count of how many ships there were in Starfleet before?
I don't think so.
That's a lot, 7,000. That's not a complaint. I'm just saying that's a lot. I mean, that's from anything to big ships and small.
Yeah, and TNG and DS9, where they're like calling everybody from everywhere.
Because think of it, in TOS, to me, the impression was always like, oh, there's like a dozen ships out there or something. Like, I never thought of thousands of them.
Well, the galaxy's a big place.
It is. Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad to hear that there's so many that are active. But yeah,
there is I really like the fight scenes. What did you guys think of the fight scenes? I think they're kind of striking a much better balance between the Kelvin Trek and the Trek shows that we know. Like, there isn't so much that it's Into Darkness fights, but it's also not, just a guy doing this, just hitting with his steepled hands and people are falling off.
Which is completely ineffective, by the way.
Oh, except for when Kirk does it. When Kirk does it, I believe it. That's That's just William Shatner's sheer power is when he does this.
See, that's the thing. If that actually had any real power, you would be breaking all your fingers while doing it.
Oh my god!
Didn't I see like a Kirk move? What's that move called? Not in this episode, but in a previous episode, the jump kick, when you jump in the air and you take your 2 legs and you kind of push the person. And I think I saw Burnham do that, or somebody do that.
It is the jump kick, right? Like when you lift both your legs and kick someone.
Yeah, I swear someone did that in a recent episode.
Also, not very effective because it's going to drive you backwards as well, and
but
you're
I think it's
fall.
Funny it was done. It was done on an episode recently. I saw that. I remember seeing that.
Okay.
Oh man, hey, I love the little flying cameras that her mom had and stuff, because so many times in Star Trek you see like footage. The Starfleet is watching footage of something that happened. I'm like, well, did they have a director and 3 cameras there like they do on the show? Because that's what it looks like. Because recently I watched The Voyage Home, because we were doing that for a Patreon roundtable, And I noticed, when the beginning scene in the Starfleet, whatever,
Assembly hall.
the assembly hall, yes, thank you.
Mhm.
And the Klingons are like, oh, look what happened. And you're seeing like footage from Star Trek 3, and you're seeing the inside of the ship, the outside of the ship, like all these different angles. You're like, how many cameras are flying around space, and how did it get to Starfleet headquarters to view anyway? But I like the little cameras flying around, because that's like, to me, the future of selfies. You don't hold your phone out. You just have these little robots go zzz, like little drones, little things flying around. I thought that was pretty cool, actually. I want one of those.
Yeah, that would be cool. I like it.
So,
But
do we know yet what the Red Angel suit is made out of, or where it's from? We don't know any of those, right? We just know it's like a suit,
Yeah, we know it's a suit that Dr. Burnham made.
right?
She and Daddy made, and
Right.
that's pretty much all we know. There's a time crystal that now apparently is destroyed because Leland controls all to that.
I'm surprised it can be destroyed so easily. But
Well, I don't know if it was
it's like
destroyed
fine
so
China.
much. Maybe it wasn't destroyed so much as it was sent into a different time. I don't know. It's a time. It's a time stone. What do we know about them? What do we know about time crystals?
I don't know, but they're on Wikipedia. I haven't read it yet.
But they can be destroyed. I guess depending on their size, because Harry Mudd had one, and he destroyed it when he thought he had what he wanted and wanted to end the time loop on Discovery. So it is possible to destroy them. We don't.
Maybe it's like a vase, like on the Brady Bunch when the ball hit the vase, and Mom always said, "Don't play ball in the house." Maybe it's just as fragile as a vase like that.
Hey, Brady Bunch, that's great. That on the edge, there is now a Brady Bunch reference. No, I think it's, I really like the quote where her mother goes, you think time is fragile, it's precious, but actually time is savage, and it always wins. That was such a good line. So many good quotes too in this episode. I really liked the one where Pike just almost breaks out and he's like, "We did not come here this far to lose everything."
Yep.
No, that was a good one. Yeah, very intense episode. I don't think anybody got a moment to breathe. I think weirdly enough, the happiest or the chillest of characters in this was Dr. Culber. Especially after what he's been through so far, it was like he was the calmest guy in the room.
Yeah, well, he has a unique understanding of what's going on because, like himself, Dr. Burnham has experienced things that no other human has in the history of ever. And so she is a very unique being and is not the same person that she was 20 years ago when she got thrust into the future. So, and I think that's another thing she meant when she said that time was savage, because it changed her, it hardened her, it probably made her do things that she wouldn't normally have done had she just lived out the rest of her days as a normal human being, secretly working for Section 31. I don't know how actually if people secretly working for Section 31 have an especially long life. Seems like they get killed a lot, but in any case, he had a lot of confidence in saying the things that he said because he was going through them himself. And I think that going back to being on duty is actually a help to him because he's starting to focus on something that he wants to do, that he wants to walk the path of staying as a doctor and, being a healer. So although it didn't seem that significant, just the way he was saying, I'm just him being back in uniform for me was just like, okay, he's decided he does want to be a doctor. That's amazing. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you guys like Spock saying, "I like science"? I thought that was pretty good.
That was probably the funniest line in this episode.
So now we have, that's the power of math, people. We have "I like science." I'm just waiting for my AP English. When is that going to happen? I want an AP English reference, especially after they keep talking about Hamlet and Alice in Wonderland. Somebody just say, "I enjoyed English class in high school," so I can feel like I belong also.
I'm a grammar nerd. Does that count?
Yes, thank you, Brandi. That's perfect.
She likes grammar.
I do
like
like
science.
grammar. I like proper grammar. I like people not using apostrophes to pluralize things. That's what I really like.
Oh
Stop
my
using
gosh.
apostrophes wrong, people, please, for the
Okay,
love
we
of
already
all
covered
holy.
that on a previous episode.
Yeah, but it bears repeating because it's still happening everywhere.
Until people stop, that's something that needs to be talked about often.
Exactly. I don't tell me this isn't the time, because this is exactly the time.
What do you guys think of? Is there a favorite scene you guys had in this episode?
I was just going to mention a scene that I like, and that's when Pike is talking to Dr. Burnham, because she knows who he is, and she says, "Yes, Captain of the USS Enterprise, now temporarily in command of the Discovery, but don't worry, you'll be back on the Enterprise." And then she later says about his future, and I won't tell you that because you're not going to like it.
It hurt
And that's
me.
foreshadowing of what we know happens to Pike later.
It hurt me right in my heart.
Yeah.
It seriously was almost like a physical blow when she said that. I just went, oh. Yeah. That hurt my heart. Because I don't want it to end that way, and yet it has to end that way, and I don't want it to.
Well, okay, at this point, Brandi, I think you should go ahead and tell us if you did cry at this episode.
Yeah.
Cry Watch. Discovery's record of making Brandi cry at least once per episode is 11 for 11.
All right.
Yay,
Who had
I knew it.
11 for 11?
I can't watch Discovery without a sad scene and thinking, I bet Brandy's crying.
Well, it wasn't even a sad scene. It was that scene where Gabrielle is talking to Michael and saying, you know, I remember that dress that you wore when you graduated, and I remember all these things. That I didn't consider that sad. It was emotional and very moving.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was like, there were the tears coming down the face during that scene.
And it wasn't as emotional for me as watching The Visitor, of Deep Space Nine, but it kind of has that to me when the father is talking to the child, and you know the child is the priority, you know, in that person's life, you know, and it's like, you know, Ben Sisko telling his son Jake, you know, live your life, don't live it for me, live your own. And it's like I felt that same type of thing with Michael Burnham and her mother, and her mother's, you know, been watching her and trying to save her, and Michael's life is more important. Of course, the universe is more important, and she's sacrificing herself.
Her mother is also such a well-layered character. She won't even talk to Michael the first time she sees her, but as soon as she sees Giorgio, she's like, "Promise me you'll protect her and you'll keep her safe."
I like that too, because it goes to show again that Giorgio does have a soft place for Burnham. It just is continuing to be confirmed more and more. And she says, and Michael's mother says to her, you know, I know you love her. And I just think that's great that, you know, we're getting more of that confirmation that there's this love between these two that are really still strangers to each other.
Yeah.
Because they're not the same people. I mean, she's not the same Michael that Giorgio knew in the Mirror Universe and vice versa.
Yeah.
But then they see each other's opposite reflected in the other, you know, but it's interesting to me. I like that dynamic.
For all you canon aficionados, I really think you should also check out Star Trek Discovery Succession, in which you get to see some of that relationship between Giorgio and Mirror Burnham.
Yeah.
Like it's such a good complex relationship, because Giorgio at one point is literally beating Michael Burnham while they're fighting, while trying to teach her life lessons. So it's just a very complex, weird, but somehow it works relationship.
Yeah, because in the Mirror Universe, it is more mother and daughter, because Giorgio was influential to Michael at an earlier time in Michael's life when she was a kid, and she practically raised her. So that was
what I was going to say, is that she did raise Michael as her child.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she apparently had other biological children, if you can go from past episodes when she talks about how, you know, feeding, if she didn't have other people to feed her children, she never would have gotten anything done.
You guys, I don't know, maybe when I come back in a few weeks, we'll probably talk about this a little more, but I'm enjoying the episodes. I'm liking the way the story's going, but I really want at least season 3 to just do something completely that Discovery can put its name on. It feels like season 1 was a very mirror universe and TOS based one, foundational uh, season. Now it's Section 31 and clones and time travel. That also, especially Section 31 is DS9. I really want something that season that Discovery can say this was mine, and I
Yeah.
didn't rely on Pike. I didn't rely on the mirror universe. I didn't rely on all these tropes to make my TV good. I'm not saying that's a reason for me to
No,
stop
but add
watching.
something new to the canon instead of
Yes.
just
Yeah.
borrowing what's already been done and expanding on it. I mean, it's like when the Next Generation premiered, I remember reading that, Gene Roddenberry wanted to, it's, a century ahead. So he didn't
Yeah.
want to have Romulans and Klingons. And I mean,
Mhm.
eventually the show got to those things every once in a while, whatever. But, and then we had a brief moment of McCoy on the Enterprise, but most of those episodes weren't structured around what happened on TOS. Discovery is structuring a lot of what we've seen on TOS or throughout the other different series and stuff. And I agree with you. I've enjoyed these the last 2 seasons, and it's a lot of fun. It's for the fanboy in me and everything, and adding to these things that we've known before and just adding more dimension to it. But I like to see something new where it's like, wow, we've never seen that before. I've heard of that before, and that's something that has never been mentioned in any other Star Trek series that's unique to Discovery.
Spore Drive?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, the storylines are all reflecting something within the canon, is for the most part.
Yeah, because
no, I
if they
agree with
didn't
Spore
do
Drive.
that, everyone would go off the deep end.
But TNG didn't do all that.
Right. And
Yeah, and
DS9
people went off the deep end.
People are going off the deep end now. It's
I
not
know. They're going to
protected
go off the
canon.
deep end no matter what you do.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying this was something they had to do in season one. I understood season one to a certain extent. I also understand season two. But we know at the end of season two, Pike is leaving, Spock is leaving. I just hope they don't replace them with, oh, here's a young Picard who's going to be an ensign Picard on the show. Like,
that's not possible. He
I know.
I'm
just giving you an example.
He can come back in the suit.
Yeah.
No.
He could be the not Red Angel. It could be like, here's Picard's dad. Here's another Picard. Like, I hope they stop doing that and truly take us on a journey just with these guys.
Right.
Like, I'm ready to see Captain Saru. I'm ready to see an episode.
That's what I was going to say. I predict next season we're going to have Captain Saru. That's my prediction.
It's about time. That guy, after everything he's been through, he's literally died and come back for this ship a few times now. Just give him that ship already, and let's just see those adventures. I'm ready for it. Speaking of captains, I also really like how Michael had to fight Pike just to be able to even get the chance to talk to her mother. And that's another really good advantage of not having the central character be a captain. Because if she was a captain, she could have just gone down and talked to her mom. But because she's not the first rank on that ship, she had to go and tell them, "Hey, give me a chance." And they still were, no, there's no way. And eventually, it was when she got to talk to her. Just so much good. There was a good use of the not captain character, at least to me.
Well, it took the united front of both Michael and Spock to logic them into letting her go down. That's my feeling about it. Because we never saw that scene. We just see her arriving. So, yeah.
Okay. I forget what I was going to say to that. I don't know. 4-legged creature with 2 heads. I'm just making something up just to fill the air.
Okay.
Okay. I want to touch on something here. I'm just looking real quick because I make little short notes as I'm watching these. They're not really in-depth notes. But,
okay, while you're doing that, I just want to reference something in chat. Everybody's talking about how Control could be the backstory of the Borg.
Nope.
Okay, yes, let's talk about that. I'm glad you mentioned it because my wife watched this episode. I watched it again tonight, and as soon as the episode ended, she goes, "So how do you think Control is connected to the Borg?" I'm like, "Why does it have to be?" And now, now the chat's talking about this. So what's up with the Borg? Why does this have to connect to the Borg?
I just want to say 2 things very quickly. One, I never, ever, ever want to find out where the Borg came from. I think it's one of the best kept mysteries of Star Trek.
Then don't read Destiny, that trilogy.
Okay.
And also don't listen to an episode of Warp 5 where we wrote a season 5 episode about how the Borg came to be.
Okay. Well, at least I don't want to see a televised or a cinematic origin of the Borg, because I think it's such a good thread to leave hanging, and people can always just keep guessing, where did they come from? How did that happen? For those that don't go into the canon like you guys. And two, I don't think there is any way Control has any connection to the Borg.
Doesn't.
I think Control is just no.
Well, this is why I told my wife the Borg already exist. In this episode. They existed prior to this episode. They existed apparently before Control existed. Yep. So I don't know why Control would be connected to the Borg or create the Borg. And second of all, the Borg are in the Delta Quadrant and Control is in the Alpha Quadrant. Like, time and locations don't match up.
Well, the thing is that Control doesn't want anything biological around. It is using biology right now to get its hands on the sphere data because it doesn't have actual hands. So it has to use a biological body to get stuff done. This does not mean that it wants to keep using biological bodies. We know its end game. It extinguishes all biological sentient life in probably the universe. It is not the Borg. It's never going to be tied to the Borg. It is its own thing.
Yeah, because the Borg actually feeds on people. I mean, not eating them, but it uses the body.
Wants the biological part. It uses the biological parts of the body that it wants to and machinates the rest. So,
I'm just going to keep trusting the writers. I bet you nobody guessed that the Red Angel was Michael's biological mother.
Nope, I sure didn't.
Yeah, there are people who guessed it was Amanda, and that was fair. I think it was a good misdirect, but I'm just going to keep trusting the writers that they'll give us something that none of us can guess, and that's great, and that's okay, and that's just how it should be. Control and maybe it doesn't even need, it's a big enough threat at this point that it doesn't need to again be connected to the canon in some way. I just know it's a crazy AI that's going to be set loose in the universe, and that's a threat in itself. Yeah. I don't need to know what it becomes 30 years later.
Well, and that's a good point too, because Control is unique to the series and has not been used in the other series. That's another thing that's unique to Discovery, although it's been kind of used in the novels sort of way, kind of thing, whatever. But I'm not going to go into that.
The novels aren't canon.
I don't care.
And Bruce, you know this much about novels because you host a podcast named...
Oh, it's called Literary Treks. It's the official Star Trek books and comics podcast of the Trek.
Yeah, take a shot, guys. Take a shot.
Yeah, but I agree with some people in the chat too. I don't want the Borg. I don't want the Borg. We've had plenty of the Borg. We've seen the Borg through so many series. We don't need a Borg connection here. And I honestly do not think that there is going to be a Borg connection here. I think that the writers are smarter than that. And this is just, Control is its own thing.
I just want to say to everyone in the chat, you're all beautiful people. I just can't tell. You're all smart and wonderful.
Yes.
And hi.
So no Borg.
Yeah, no Borg.
Yeah.
No Borg.
Beautiful people.
So overall takeaways from this episode, you guys think this is one of the best episodes you've ever watched, or just a really good Trek episode?
Brandi, do you want to answer that question? I love that Shashank's asking us questions.
I'm sorry, because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden Shashank's hosting the show, and that is fine.
It works for me.
I'm so down with this, absolutely.
Oh.
So
Bruce joked about just logging off
too. Let's get the chat to give us their rankings too.
Bruce joked just before we logged in, saying, "Hey, so I'll just introduce you guys and walk away." Bruce, this would be a good time, man.
All right, see you, everyone. Good night.
Yeah. But no, I would love to hear the chat's Discovery Season 2 ranks so far. And Brandi, what do you think? One of the best ever?
Well, it is difficult for me to rank things because I have liked every episode so far. In fact, I could say I have loved every episode so far. So it is very difficult for me to say this is better than that. And I'm just like that in real life, period. I very rarely have a favorite anything because I just like so many things. So let's see. I enjoyed this episode. I really loved the interactions between people. There were so many wonderful moments that had everything to do with relationships. And relationships are important. Relationships can really define us and our perspectives. So I really love it when they start to explore those things, especially all the stuff with Mom Burnham. And so whew, a lot happened, and I enjoyed this episode from start to finish. I enjoyed it even more the second time. So I will say it gets um got to think of a good measuring stick here.
Ball cubes. Ball cubes would be
Absolutely not. um uh I'm going to give it 5 3D chessboards out of 5.
Ooh,
That's
wow. Wow.
Okay.
That's great. Okay. I've noticed that I relate a lot of things to dating and to food. Okay. So
Only two things a man needs.
exactly. Even though I'm
And
not
also a
dating
dog.
because I've
A
been
dog would be
married,
good.
but I remember what dating was like, believe me. And I it's almost like, when you start going out with someone, like the highs happen at the beginning, and not to say that things get worse, but the newness kind of wears off and it's not as exciting as it was at first. And it's like when you eat something for the first time that's really good, you take a bite and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But the further you get in, you're starting to get full and it still tastes great. But it wasn't like that first experience when you took those first couple of bites. That's how I feel about this season. I love this season. I love this episode, but I when I see movies or read books or whatever, typically I get more excited at the beginning of something. So my excitement was higher than it is now. But
Right.
I think the drama and going deeper into these characters, and we're having more dialogue and less, I don't want to say less action, but yeah, I'd say probably less action. I know the budget is more constraint now, so they're focusing more on the dialogue and the characters. But I think it's solid. It's definitely solid, and it's building in something that's going in the right direction. So I would give this episode 24 sections out of section 31.
Cool. Just my final thoughts on the episode. It was just a very good episode of Trek. It's not The Visitor. It's also not the Code of Honor. It's just a really good, well written, competent episode of Trek with some great moments. Moved the story along. Very entertaining. Very cinematic. You can tell Alex Kurtzman is the one driving them all out because he wants that. He's really showing you that cinematic side of Trek, and that's great. You're right. There was a lot more dialogue. I could have used a little bit more action, just personally, but that's just me. And no, this was such a good episode. This for me, there would be like a 7 of 9. No, wait, that's a different. Yeah, no,
Dude.
no.
7 of 9.
He had to do it. He had to
Yep.
do it.
I mean, when it's good, it's good. So, guys, just one quick question about the future, and as we keep talking about the episode, do you think, at least at STLV or is there a future for Pike and Ethan Peck Spock? Are we going to get that show?
I hope so. I hope we get something. We have to get something. I don't think that they properly gauged the popularity of these characters. And all I know is that when Ethan Peck was interviewed about it and asked if Spock was going to continue, if his Spock was going to continue on something else, he said, I can't say.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
but that still doesn't mean.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything one way or the other. But saying that you can't say means there's still a possibility. So I think I would just like something. Just it doesn't have to be a whole series. It could be a mini series.
No,
I'd be happy with that.
Here's my vision for it. I think it would be great as an alternate to Picard show, which we know is going to be darker, and Discovery, which has its own thing going on with that season-wide story arcs. I think they're in the best position to do a villain of the week TOS TNG style episode show with the Enterprise crew of Spike, Spock, and Number One. I mean, it doesn't. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Like, it's perfect to do your everybody who's like, oh, I miss old Trek when I could just watch an episode and I didn't have to worry about the story. Do it with these guys; they're perfect.
I mean, I would love it. I don't think they're going to do it.
Okay.
I think one reason they might not do it is because I think they'll feel like it's going to be too much like Discovery, meaning it all takes place in the same time frame. It's another Starship show exploring the universe, just like Discovery's doing. And I mean, maybe if Discovery finished its run and then they moved to that, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see it. I don't know. I just don't think they're going to do it, but they may surprise us.
I think
I wouldn't mind being surprised.
I wouldn't mind being surprised either, but I also think that the popularity of the characters is something that they can definitely use. That anything that they do with them is going to gain interest.
And they can always revisit them on Discovery.
Agree. I feel like they got to go back to them at some point. They just, because it is going to be so hard to say goodbye to them at the end of this series.
Unless they make them annoying at the end where you're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't wait for them to leave.
It's not going to happen.
They just start breaking out Jar Jar Binks, all of them.
Misa back!
Yeah, that is not going
Misa, logical.
Yeah, no, that's not believable in any way, shape, or form. I would love to see them again because
I mean,
so dear.
The fact that I don't think Anson Mount is such a, for the lack of a better term, such a small star that he would just come to STLV just, as like without a bigger reason for him being there. So I go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I hear what you're saying. So let me throw this at you.
Yeah.
We are apparently getting a Section 31 show.
Right.
Maybe those characters move to that show, not as permanent, but doing the same thing where they're around for a season arc. So we see them in season 2 of Discovery, and then we see them in season 1 of Section 31.
Well, I can't vouch for what con appearances mean or don't mean, because I know that they were both Ethan Peck and Anson Mount were at New York Comic Con recently. And I know that they're going to be at a convention in Canada soon.
Right, because they're out of jobs. They need money.
Hey, like I said, conventions make good money. That was
sure,
off camera, but
yeah,
conventions, are a good way for actors and actresses and writers, etc., to supplement their income for a relatively short amount of time of work. Mm-hmm. So, and I have no problem with that. It's like, take my money so that I can hug you. Thank you very much.
Hey,
I'll take your money for a hug.
Well, I would just give you a hug for free. So
I will give you money, Brandi. You'll still hug me, right? And
absolutely. Absolutely. But in any case, I just, con appearances don't necessitate that they're going to be in something again, but I feel that they kind of have a little untapped gold mine there, and they could do something with those characters and know that people would watch it.
Yes. I really also don't think they would have bought Spock back just for a season. That just seems like criminally wasteful to make such a big deal out of bringing Spock back.
Well, again, he's also, Michael's brother. That again, I can see him returning occasionally in this series. So I don't think I'm not writing Spock off as gone season 2 and we'll never see him again. This Spock.
Yeah.
But again, there's so much you can do with CBS All Access that, miniseries is possible with Pike and Spock. Maybe, just a one movie.
Where is number one? Where is number one?
I know. Someone just mentioned that in the chat too. It's like, I know. It's like, I thought we would see her a lot more than what we've seen.
What is this?
Are we going to get more of her, or is she just going to eat a cheeseburger and that's it? Like, we have to have, you don't hire her to be a cheeseburger eater. Rebecca Romaine. You just don't do that.
Hey, there are still 3 episodes left.
I know. It's getting close to the end here. We've got to
I'm going to be honest. At this point, if she starts playing a bigger role, I mean, I don't see any way to connect someone on a ship just sitting waiting.
Oh, I'm gonna blow your mind. You ready?
Okay. Okay.
She becomes the new captain of Discovery for season 3.
Oh.
You don't like that?
I think it's a much better idea to do a Pike show
Captain
and
number
number
1?
one show. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Sounds like a Bollywood movie, man.
Hey, you know what? We got rankings for this episode from the chat. We haven't reviewed them
Oh,
yet.
good.
So
many.
scroll
Yeah,
back
hit
to
me with
these
it.
here.
Also,
Yeah.
everybody in the chat is very, very active. Thank you guys for
They
spending your
are.
Friday night with us.
They're so active they're not even listening to us probably. So
Not
Yeah, at this
even. They're
point,
having
I
their own
don't believe.
discussion. Yeah.
So what do we have in
Just
here? I
yet.
see a 7 out of 10, childlike Michaels. Excuse me. 5 out of 5 unseen signals. You guys see more in here?
8 out of 10 mission logs, 8 out of 10 stuffy bunnies. Just a straight up 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10 hot Giorgio Ash exchanges.
Seems like there are a couple of people. Like I can see one comment where it's I would rather have new Spock plus Pike than Picard, but that's just me. That's Alexandra. Yeah, I mean,
actually
I don't know if we
agree
have
with that.
choose.
I
mean,
kind of agree. I think I'd rather have a Pike show than the Picard show. I love Picard, but yeah, right now I'm kind of liking Pike a lot.
I think it's a lot because Anson Mount is kind of at the same age that Patrick Stewart was when he started TNG.
Yeah, but he has more hair.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, he has glorious hair. Got some really nice hair.
Did we have Spock butt in this episode?
Nope, but we have now. So well done. You did it.
Wait, what? What did I just do?
You mentioned Spock butt.
Oh, I thought I created Spock's butt or something. Like, what? What did I just do?
Well, you asked if we had it in this episode, and we hadn't until you mentioned it. So you are the creator.
I'm the creator
paradox.
of the Spock butt. Okay.
The Spock butt paradox, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so all the rankings I see in here are pretty consistent. You know, the 7s, the 8s out of 10s or so, 4.5 out of 5, 7.5. So yeah, I think people think, they like the episode, but yeah, it's not a favorite. It's not the top of their list, but it's, a strong episode for sure. I think that's pretty consistent with what we think too. It's definitely not a bad episode or a forgettable one for sure. So
everybody in the chat who agreed with me and mentioned my name, you're the best. You win my award.
That's why you said they're all beautiful, because they just love you.
Yeah, that's the only reason why.
Well, we think you're beautiful too.
Thanks, man. My dogs think so too, clearly. So that's
you're the only person on the show who has been licked.
Yeah. Live on air. Live. That's great.
Hey, you don't know. You don't know what I do in my off time.
Okay.
You don't know what's going on from
I didn't say off time.
You don't know what's going on right now from the waist down. You got no clue. You can't see.
Okay.
Speaking of that, everybody really wants you to do Randy Giorgio voice.
Nope. Not even going near the Giorgio voice in any incarnation.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, everybody let us know if you have any voice suggestions for Brandi for the closing out of our show. And in the meantime, Shashank, where can people find you on the interwebs?
People can find me on @gutter_hero. That's GUTTER_HERO. I talk all kinds of nerdy things. I'm slowly getting on a Cobra Kai kick because that season 2 is about to drop. But I talk Star Trek, I talk Cobra Kai, I talk basically, if it's nerdy, I'll probably talk about it. I also co-host a wonderful show called Polytrex with my Canadian brother, Barry DeFord. We are on @Polytrex. You can find that, and you can find our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast to.
Yay. Brandi, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me here on this show, obviously. You can
doing Randy Giorgio voices.
No. You can also find me on Twitter at BrandyWine12 or my alter ego, Dark Amy Nose Rockets. Again, I haven't had much time to be on Twitter lately, guys. I'm sorry. You can find me lurking in the Babel Conference, of course. And I also do a show with my husband Dave called The Inside. No, wow, I went back to the old name, the Dark Corner Podcast, which you can find at darkcornerpodcast.com. And also, okay, I've got a couple more things. Gosh, don't usually have this long of a list. Also, starting in April,
big announcement.
Along with the beginning of the Twilight Zone new series on CBS All Access, you will hear me from time to time on the Twilight Zone podcast with Tom Elliott, good friend of mine, known him for 10 years. He runs a fantastic podcast about the Twilight Zone, and we're going to be talking about the new Twilight Zone episodes as well.
And he makes a great omelet.
Yeah, okay. Does he?
You have to listen to Literary Treks to know that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, gotta take a drink.
Yep, sorry. So yeah, that will be starting very soon. And also the final thing, if you're going to be in the Salt Lake City, Utah area coming to FanX Salt Lake Comic Convention, you can come to at 6 o'clock in the evening on Saturday, April 20th, and me, along with Zachary Fruling and Haley Stoddart, will be doing a Star Trek Discovery panel. That's right. I have made it, people. I get to be panel at a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning to live stream that or record that, so those of us who are not fortunate enough to be there can see it too?
Yeah, we haven't made those arrangements yet. I will have to discuss it and see what is available to us as far as the convention amenities for our panel. So okay. I can't say with 100% certainty that we can live stream it, but I will see what we can find out for sure, because more than one person has asked that.
Okay, excellent. I wish I were there to cheer you on in the audience, but and Twilight Zone. Yeah, first episode is this Monday, April 1st on CBS All Access. 2 episodes.
2 episodes on Monday.
Good, awesome.
Also, if you're just throwing things out, next Sunday is WrestleMania, baby! Woo!
Yeah, there's that too. Brandy's doing a podcast on that.
No, I'm not actually. I'm not actually doing that. I leave that to my they're not my friends. I have never met them personally, but I leave that to the many people who do podcasts out there. But there's a great one called Tights and Fights that I absolutely love. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So Brandy's friends don't do those. Okay, good.
No, but I wish they were my friends. They're really cool people.
You can find me on Twitter at Admiral_Rex, and you can find me here on the network doing Literary Treks with Dan Gunther. Hi, Dan. I see you're in the chat. And Brandi was on a recent episode, and she'll be on the next one that's coming out on Sunday. And also, I will be at Star Wars Celebration starting April 11th in Chicago. So if you're going to be there, come look for me. Watch the live show if you don't know what I look like, so you can find me there. And I do Star Wars Report podcast, and we'll be doing some live things out there revolving around Star Wars Report. So we'll be doing maybe like some Facebook Live stuff and podcasts on a daily basis. So
for those of you who might need an audio description, Bruce is a white guy with a beard. Those won't be a whole lot at Star Wars Celebration, right?
You won't, and I have a little of a gut going too, so that'll be unusual.
Oh yeah, you are going to so stand out in the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll know it's me because I'll be wearing a T-shirt every day. Just so you know. And okay, so what suggestions do we get for Brandy's voice in the chat? Well, I see Spock's voice liking science.
No, I can't do the voice that low.
Control Leland voice.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Those are pretty much it, besides Horny Giorgio, which I am not going to touch with a 10-foot pole.
Pike being 1,000% done voice.
I'm not sure I can pull that off, but I can give it a go.
And it's mentioned, Dan mentioned in the chat, April 5th in Canada on City TV for Twilight Zone.
Nice. So. Well, it's not being carried outside of North America right now, so that's not cool because it's actually a worldwide phenomenon, and I don't know why they wouldn't find a partner outside of the continental United States and Canada, but that's just me.
They will eventually.
Is a silly tilly recommendation?
I'm saving that one for later.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, then what are you going to do?
okay.
I suggested something to you off the show.
You did.
That's an option too.
Yeah. I actually feel like I'm going to do your suggestion, Bruce, because I
Oh.
feel like it would get some feelings out of me that have been percolating all day. Having nothing to do with anything going on here tonight is just
No.
sometimes days are stressful.
We put you in a good mood. That's the
Absolutely.
thing.
This
is
like
your relief.
it is. It's my favorite part of Friday night. So don't anyone take offense at this, but I'm basically going to do it as someone who's really angry about being happy. So
right, happy things, but saying them like you're angry.
Yep. So yeah, we're not gonna start at 11 though. We're gonna work our way up. So
oh boy,
Okay.
and I have to
don't
look
get too
down.
Angry.
I won't. I have to look down at my phone this time because my documents viewer on my computer is still updating, which it has been for the last 2 hours, which is redonkulous.
So you don't want us to look at you while you do this, then?
No, you can
Since you're looking
totally
down?
look at me.
Okay.
You can totally look at me. So
okay, just put your head down so we can see how the gray's coming in.
okay.
Because you're letting your hair grow natural. I remember you saying that. So
yeah, in fact, we're stopping coloring it at this point, so everything that comes out now is going to be
that.
So and it's going to just kind of go from light to dark in a nice melt, until 2 years from now when it's finally all grown out.
It's gonna look like your head's gonna look like a mountain with snow on top, like the Paramount mountain.
It's gonna be so fun.
I'm gonna call you Paramount for a while.
Okay, that totally works for me. So okay, here we go. Okay, so be sure to check out Discovery coverage throughout the week and Live from the Edge. Oh, that show was so much fun. Live from the Edge airs on Fridays at 9 p.m. and you people just keep showing up to it and being so cool. What is with that? So 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Our commentary will be available as Tracks from the Edge. Oh my, why would you want to listen to something so much fun? We discuss your feedback on Postcards from the Edge. Oh, why would you want to go get your voices heard like that? How are you doing? How are you doing that? I don't get it. You can catch the full analysis on the Edge main show. Oh, how can you not love that? How can you? It's just, oh, I can't believe that people just can love that. And then, of course, you got Notes from the Edge with Chris Jones, and he makes those links. He makes those unbelievably detailed links between Discovery and the broader franchises. And, oh, it just makes me crazy. And, of course, you can find all of these. How could you not find all of these? You can find all of these in the main feed for the Edge and in the Trek FM master feed. And you know what else? I'm going to tell you what else. Buckle in, kids. Just buckle in. You have thoughts. You have thoughts. All of you have thoughts on Discovery. All of you. I want to hear them. Give me those opinions. I want to hear them. Go to the Babel conference. God, that is like the best place. I can't believe you don't know about this. It's our listeners group on Facebook. Just search for Babel, and it'll probably come right up in the search field. I mean, seriously, it is so easy to do this. So easy. And then Amy Nelson. Let me tell you something about Amy Nelson. Amy Nelson is nobody's fool, all right? So you don't mess with Amy Nelson. Amy Nelson is the best, okay? So she's going to collect your freaking comments, man, your freaking comments. And she's going to put them on Postcards from the Edge, which is such a wonderful podcast. And then you can find us. You can find us on Twitter at Trek FM. Or you can send us an email. Oh, email. What is it with the email? We get so many great emails, people. You can just go there, website, Trek FM, trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show. What are you going to choose? What y'all going to choose? You're going to choose the Edge. You're going to choose the Edge. Okay? All right. Now. I don't want to do this, but I got to thank some really great people. I have to do it. And you guys just got to suffer through it, okay? So here are our associate producers. They all support the show. so that we can freaking do it every week, okay? Y'all got it? So, here we go. Norman C. Lau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Paleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, Richard Rutledge, James Muldrow, Cornelia Reutner, Ryan Malett, Chris Trabuzio, Brian Malash. All those people, such freaking heroes. I'm telling you right now. Now, look, I got one last thing to say about this whole mess, okay? If you want to help us keep all our shows going, and even become an associate producer like those fine heroes I just told you about, visit patreon.com/trekfm and you'll get those details. Get them! All right, I'm done with this.
Wow. Are you feeling better now?
Bravo.
Really
Bravo.
I feel just like cleansed.
It works, doesn't it?
It really does.
That's why I want to do a YouTube video where I just complain how much I like about Discovery. That's where this idea came up, because it's like, you know, you just go in there and go, oh my gosh, this show, can you believe this freaking show? They have to come out with a new Star Trek, and it is so freaking good. That's the problem with the show. The problem with the show is it's so good, and the actors actually know what they're doing. They actually do good performances. It drives me crazy. I don't know why anybody's watching this, because it's that good.
It's so stupid good.
It's so stupid good.
Just stupid good.
Live from the Edge, that show is so stupid good.
I'm too happy to be an angry person, but I'm glad I can live vicariously through you two.
It's called acting.
Yeah.
Voila. That's what you do with your hands when you act. You have to say acting. Like, I knew people when I was in college, because I hung out with all the actors and stuff, they'd say theater, and they always did their hand. I'm like, why the hand? Why do you have to say, oh, I do theater?
It's a joke. It's actually just a joke. We're all just putting on airs when we do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone, thank you for joining our show tonight.
Oh,
Shashank, thank you so much for being here again.
yes, thank you, Shashank.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed yourself. We really enjoyed you drilling us with questions. That was awesome.
I always have questions. I think you guys are best. You're very entertaining. I love the format. I love that anything I say is live, so I can't do anything but improvise. If my dog is licking my face, he's licking my face, and that's on YouTube forever now, and I can't take it back.
We're going to call you Lollipop.
But you guys and everybody on the chat, Team COTB, Team Cheer Out Tranks the Badge forever. I can't wait to be back and talk more Discovery with you.
Yeah, I think we have you coming back in 2 weeks, I think. So
yes,
can't wait. The penultimate episode.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for everyone for joining us, and live long and prosper, and
keep calm and disco on. Bye.
Chicka boom, ba-doom,